All right, we are live. Looks like it's not up yet. I thought it was going to be up by now, but it should be up later today. I've got another review on figures.com coming. Hello, and I got sent some of the toys from the upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong movie. Some of them are very large. Oh, Nightbot. Yeah. So anyway, checking out some. There is a movie that is coming out next year, 2021, Godzilla vs. Kong. It is in the MonsterVerse crossover world. Raw. So yeah. Should be up later today. Big King Kong toy. Big Godzilla toys. They're fun. But that's not what we're here for today. Today is Warhammer Wednesday. So Saturday I picked up my new toys, my new goodies. So the 3 new things that came out for Space Marines this week, other than of course the Codex, which I did not pick up just yet. I don't know. I'm kind of overbuying codexes for the moment. I'm sure I will at some point. But we have the Primaris Invader ATV we've talked about. It's there's a lot of really strong hate for this model. Look, I mean it's a little goofy, sure. I mean, the Starcom toy, exactly. I mean, it's got the guy shooting right over this guy's head, which doesn't seem very comfortable. People complain about how there's no clearance, there's no suspension under the. But I mean, who cares? Come on, it looks like something out of Mario Kart. Big deal. I think it's neat. I don't have a problem with this one. And then the turret, which is interesting. Technically, it has some sort of a gravity generator, so it can move, but very slowly. Some people were thinking that it was just gonna, basically you would place it and it wouldn't move at all, or yeah. And I've seen already people have come up with some really interesting ways of customizing this to do different things with it. There's 2 different weapon options. Yeah, it's a 3-inch movement, so it sort of scoots very slowly. And then we have the Primaris Chaplain on a bike, which I think is what I'm going to do today. 2 options. You get a helmetless head. Boo! Welcome, Dovercook. How's it going? Yeah, so I'm going to work on this and give a little bit of a backstory on chaplains, which are very interesting. So Space Marine. Oh, and then basically it comes with 2 sprues. I think the only truly optional part are the heads, which are over here in the corners. And then I think the rest is just stock. 1 second. Emails. Don't need that. And then we've got the instruction book. Very, very interesting. With the new 9th edition, your instruction sheet not only... Oh, and yes, Eredinsk and Dover. Yes, there's definitely an element of goofy, over-the-topness to Warhammer. So you have all of your instructions, and then they give you this. So it used to be that kits, well, like modern 7th and 8th edition kits would have instructions, and the last couple of pages would be the data sheet. They would have it in a bunch of different languages. So you would have essentially you would have instructions, and you would have a whole section in the back with the same data sheet but in different languages for different parts of the world, which is great. They've done away with that, and instead they have this. Now this is supposed to be condensed rules, and essentially they don't have to have languages on here because, well, it's just a bunch of symbols and numbers. I, for the life of me, cannot wrap my brain around these things. I do not like this. I like the fact that it's more egalitarian, you might say. Like there are no languages that are missing out because they're not going to print a page for every single language. But I don't know, my brain just does not like this. So we have the basic stat line up here. This star means something. I don't know. I have no idea. And then they highlight a weapon, and then you have to look and see the weapon, and then it gives you the stats for the weapon. I mean, if I really think about it, okay, so that's the bolt pistol. It doesn't tell you what they are either. So whatever kind of silly pistol the chaplain has, yeah, there is a key. I think it's on the website, but so it's range, type. So that's pistol 1, 5 strength, AP -1, 2 damage. But again, I mean that's only because I know Warhammer so well, but and like I know what the stat line is without even looking at the symbols. But yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's not great. It's a good idea. Definitely a good idea. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure it works really well for some people, just depending on how your brain works. My brain does not work like that, apparently. I thought it might, but it doesn't. And then we have a little itty bitty dinky decal sheet, which sort of tells you to play Ultramarines, and no thank you. Boo, Ultramarines. So yeah, when we talk about Space Marines, let me make sure I'm starting this on the right side here. Okay. So talking about Space Marines, there is, of course, it's a military organization, so we have ranks. Starting with, well, Chapter Master now is in charge of, an entire organization of Space Marines. And then we have captains, lieutenants, and so on and so forth. So outside of the standard rank structure, sort of like commissars for the Imperial Army, we have chaplains. So chaplains are there to inspire the troops, sort of like real life chaplains, except while real life chaplains are men of the cloth, people of the cloth, I should say. These chaplains are all about killing the enemy in melee combat. They're very good at it, and they help everybody do it a little bit better as well. Sometimes chaplains, yes, they inspire, exactly, Savage Punch. They inspire people with their cool skull helmets, for sure. Okay, cool. Sometimes chaplains will actually lead troops into battle, but usually they're there in more of a supportive role. Oh my goodness. Okay. I built a bunch of bikes over the years, but this model is definitely laid out a little bit differently than what I'm used to. Yeah, I mean, they're in the lore, at least, like in the books, chaplains are depicted in various different ways. Sometimes they're more kind of zealots. Sometimes they're more just like, hey, I'm really good at fighting, and I'm all about the rules and everything, so I'm gonna be a leader in that way. Oh my goodness, how does this work? Okay. I have this. This way? This way? Why am I having such a problem figuring out how this first piece goes together? Aha. This way. I think. Yes. Okay. There we go. Oh my goodness. That was kind of freaking me out. I couldn't figure out how those went together. Yeah, I confess that I have not seen all of that much of the Emperor text-to-speech stuff. I know there's some stuff in there that's not exactly PC, you might say. But I know a lot of people like that. And it's gotten a lot of people familiar with lore and stuff, so that's good. Yeah, and like I've talked about before, chaplains are very well known for their very iconic, very specific skull helmets. They don't go anywhere without them. That's why when I was converting the one from the kit recently who came unhelmeted, I had to find a suitably skull-looking skull-looking helmet to replace it, which I did from my Reavers. Now, over the years, there have been quite a few chaplain models. I have some of them. Certainly not all of them. They've done some limited edition ones. Some chapters have their own specific chaplain models. I believe there's an Ultramarines specific chaplain. Some people like the Blood Angels have like very unique chaplains who do different things. I'm going to get to a point here with a bit of a wait. I'll show some of those. All right, we have part number 3, which is going to go here. I gotta tell you, the way these front parts fit together is very odd. Is the wheel turned on the front? Is that why this... Can't tell. Alright, well, I'm just gonna soldier on and hope this all works at the end. I think that might be the issue, is that I think the front wheel is slightly canted, so the parts don't line up straight on purpose. Hoping, at least. Alright, let's get that first wheel going. So we need parts number 4 and 5. And yeah, chaplains, because they are so important, and they are fun to play, because again, they buff your Space Marines in melee. They've done a bunch of different kinds. So you can get, for instance, a standard traditional size, I like to say mini Marines, chaplain. You have chaplains with jump packs. You have chaplains on bikes, like this one, but the original versions. You have chaplains in Terminator armor, Primaris chaplains. Am I forgetting any chaplains? But yeah, they've done, like I said, a bunch of them over the years.
Mommy, can I do a spider video? Yeah.
Oh no. The baby is told he cannot do what he wants right now. He's not happy about it. There we go. I love these little wheel things, but gotta always be careful to get them going just the right way. Okay. Alright, so we've got all those done. Now I'm going to start the second half of the bike. And hopefully it'll all fit together. Zardoz, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you'll find... Occasionally you'll find, yeah, those weird corner cases where what in one army is an elite will be something different in another one. Doesn't happen a lot, certainly. So yeah, with this model, obviously, basically you build the bike first, and then the chaplain himself will sit on top of it. I don't think I've seen any major conversions to this kit just yet, although I'm sure people are working on it. I mean, the second a new kit comes out, people have already figured out crazy different things to do with it. This community is very creative, very, very quick. Like I said, I'm just going to build this stock, including the helmeted head. It's weird. They're all weird these days. Like the back of the torso has a part of an arm attached. There's an arm over here. There's a hand over here. It's sliced up pretty interestingly. Although the front of the torso is its own piece that looks like almost a traditional front of the chest. Yeah, Aura, that's what I was saying. Like I haven't seen usually as soon as a model comes out, people are already customizing things. But again, yeah, the way they do these things in 3D modeling and then slice it for the sprues, sometimes you don't get very easy ways of customizing things, converting things, without like really chopping it up and having to go nuts. Yeah, you could swap it. Yeah, anything that's like extending from an arm you could do, but I mean, it's Chaplain. It's got to have the Crozius. That's the other thing Chaplains are known for, is they have a very specific weapon. The Crozius Arcanum. Oops. It's like a big stick. It's like a mace, essentially. And they beat people up with it. Alright, so in theory... Oh, there's one more piece. Can't forget piece number 6. Yeah, and it's a power weapon, just like most other things. Yes, it is a stick that you can hit people with, but it also has a power field built in, and technically, that's what does the damage. Although those things are written so differently depending on the writer. Where is that part? There it is. Yeah, and it's part weapon, part badge of office. Yeah, typically it's like a mace with some sort of winged element to the top of it, but not always. Like the first Primaris Chaplain, it looks just like a cane that people had many jokes for. And sometimes it has 2 wings, sometimes it has 4 wings. Just depends on the specific version. They like to give us different versions. There's a new chaplain coming out. An exclusive cool chaplain. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so we've got a traditional mini marine chaplain. You can see, I mean, he's just covered in cloth, and he's got bony bits. They're very, very gothic. I mean, his backpack looks like a church. It's got some kind of relic hanging off there with a, what is that? With some bones in it. It's neat. And then yeah, so he's got the skull helmet and a standard 2-winged Crozius. So that's like the little one. Then, so this is an earlier mark of armor, so you can play this in Horus Heresy 30k games. And he's got the 4-winged Crozius. Now, he does not have a skull helmet. They haven't switched to that at this point, but he's got a bunch of little skulls on his torso. It's a cool model. Tiny. Proportions are a little odd, but I always like this one. Then well, look, you can paint him however you want. There's it's not specific. And then the old metal Chaplain and Terminator armor. His Crozius is kind of like curved around the back, so that's unique. Again, skull helmet, lots of little bits and doodads. There. I rescued this model, so I'm in the middle of redoing it. Now, this was an exclusive model a couple of years ago. Another Terminator Chaplain. I forget what this was exclusive for, but anyway, there's a new exclusive Terminator Chaplain coming out next month or later this month, and it's Warhammer Day. It's like, yay, Warhammer celebrating itself again, and it looks very similar to this guy. It's not the same model. Some people have been confused, but it's very similar to this. It just has a different pose. This arm is up a little bit more. This arm has, I think he has a combi flamer, but it's very similar. Lots of skulls and bones. The typical deal for a chaplain. One of the cool older models is the old chaplain on bike. So you have a regular bike, and then the chaplain kit came with these parts that you would add in to make it a chaplain. So he's got this cool winged front, this winged cowling. There's a skull there in the front, so you know it's a chaplain. Then obviously most of the main body, except the arm that's holding on. And then he's got some books to go on the back. Now, I did convert this model, which was surprisingly pretty straightforward. He came with an unhelmeted head, and his skull helmet was attached to the back, and I cut it off and put it on his head. It worked. Yeah, pretty well. This model is no longer technically usable. It is a legend model now. So it has rules, but those rules will never be updated, and you have to get them on a PDF, but you can still play them. So obviously this is replaced by the model I'm working on now, the Primaris version on a bike, but you can still do this one. And then of course with the Primaris, we have the original Primaris Chaplain, and this one has what's known as the pimp cane. For some reason they decided to just make it a cane with a skull on the top. He's got the skull helmet, a new giant pistol, and these cool robes and a rib-like chest piece. Yeah. Oh, he's super happy. He's a happy guy. He's out for a jaunty walk. And then the newer one, like I said, and I switched out the head on this one for a Reaver helmet, but this is the latest one. He's very excited, lifting up that Crozius. Now, again, this Crozius is, it's like a little dude in there. It's got not one, but two skulls. Skull helmet, skull right behind the helmet. Skulls on his knees. Little bits everywhere. So, yeah. So those are all of the chaplains that I have. All right, let's get this bike put together. Do a test fit. Yes, it looks like it's going to work. Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but the front wheel is turned a little bit to the right, so there's a little bit of a all right, cool. So it goes there. And the best thing about using plastic glue is you don't have to worry about gluing your fingers. Hold that down until we get a good seal all over. Yeah, just a pile of skulls with a robe wrapped around it. Happy little skulls. Skulls everywhere. Yeah, I'm definitely going to get that new Terminator one. I think that's pretty cool. Chaplains are really interesting, looking at the lore of sort of the lore of the Emperor as it goes on, because currently in the 40k universe, in general, humanity, the Imperium, worships the Emperor as a god, while the Space Marines, for the most part, do not. There's some Space Marines who do, but they're fringe elements. So we have Space Marines who don't consider the Emperor a god, but the rest of humanity does. But yet the chaplains inspired the. So chaplains, it's a weird term, right? Because we think of chaplains in the real world as being religious people, religious leaders in military forces. For the most part, I know there are other versions of chaplains out there, but yeah, it's a little bit of a weird. So I'm going to cover up the back here because I did not get enough glue. Yeah, exactly. Is your name really Ugly81? I don't want to call you ugly. Oogly. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, yeah, I had mentioned at the beginning. Yeah, like commissars, essentially they're outside of the standard rank system, but can take over and do when they see things that are not quite right. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that. All right, so we have a basic bike going. I may need to smooth out that back part, but I can do that later. All right, let's get some exhaust on this beast. Do we have any actual like motorcycle people watching right now? Because oh man, do I see so many complaints about these new models and how uncomfortable the ride would be and all this other stuff. I'm like, guys, look, I'm just putting together a model. I don't know anything about motorcycles in real life. Honestly, to me, all motorcycles look uncomfortable. But yeah, people can't stand how low the bikes are, that there's no suspension and this and that. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And yes, it certainly wouldn't be the first time that Games Workshop has put out models that are not quite realistic in how the technology works and the comfort level of the operators of said technology. Yeah, someone was saying, was it on this one or it was one of these things that rule of cool for sure, and honestly, one of the things I've already seen people working on with the ATV is they figured out ways. There's something in the model that you can cut, and then you can angle the wheels down so it looks like it's riding higher, and the wheels are angled so it has some sort of a suspension. Again, like I don't care, but someone was saying about one of these things that it appears to be a hard tail, and apparently that means that there's no rear suspension, so you feel all the vibrations when you're riding. And then the exact quote was that after a ride on it, you can't trust a fart for a week. I was like, okay, that's quite descriptive. And there you go. But like I said, as someone who knows next to nothing about motorcycles, I don't have an issue with these parts as long as they look cool enough. And they do. That's true, Terrence. We've all been let down by farts at one point or another in our lives. Okay. So we're going to get some pedals going here. Ooh, they tuck up right underneath. That's cool. Nice. Well, there was some oddity to how the front worked because, again, the wheel is turned. So far, all the parts fit together very well, which is good. Not that I was expecting. There are a few new kits that are poor fitting. Zardoz, excellent point. Yeah, I mean, sort of any bike that the rider sits really far back and has a really long front, especially if there's a cowling over it, yeah, we'll remind you of Kaneda's bike. Hey, Uberbaldi, how's it going? We're building a motorcycle. I guess technically I should have glued the wheels in place because they fit into the terrain piece, but I can slot those in later. That's fine. I know it was very upsetting last night that the tag team of Belle Delphine and I lost Jessica and Ellen Ripley. It was a great match, very exciting. It was hard fought. I can't really complain, but yeah, that was funny. If you didn't watch Andy's stream last night, it was the end of the tag team tournament. Made it all the way to the finals. It was great. Was looking for a minute there, like I might have 2 belts, but Jessica and Ripley are just too strong. I am still the People's Champ. Hey, Squirrel, how's it going? Oh, yeah, the Outriders are... Yeah, I mean, there's like a mile of bike in front of the rider. This one is... Yeah, it's pretty much the same design. Yeah, because I'm gonna get these cowlings are this side part. I mean, I guess yeah. If you want to say that part of like this added section here is where the rest of the guts of for the guns and stuff, I guess you could say that. Although again, yeah, I mean, I always think of just the mechanics of it. Like, all right, so you're driving this thing into battle. You expend all of your ammo. Can you replace the ammo on the fly? Like, where do you have to go back? What has to happen to this to replace the ammo? Somebody's got to pull off this whole side thing. Is there a hopper you have to remove and replace it with something else? Is that like a one-shot, piece you put in? You have to feed it in. I don't know. Those are the kind of things I worry about. Squirrel, I'm doing okay. It's been a day. Very little sleep last night, as most nights, but I am doing all right. Oh, a belt down into the slot? That could be. Because it does have, you can see the belt running through here, and then obviously it ejects, well no, actually you're right, because yeah, if they feed it in through there, and then it cycles it back, I don't know. Somebody probably has it, written out somewhere how it could work. I need parts 13 and 14. So now we'll begin working on the rider himself. Oh, and while, of course, none of my models are painted, chaplains are interesting because, like librarians, typically, not always, but typically they're outfitted in black, and then just one of their shoulder pads has the color of their chapter. Typically. There's a lot of variation there too. Yeah, because I mean, you can see there is, well, I don't know. I mean, it looks like a belt here, but yeah, I mean, those are, yeah, that's a belt, right? The links must be a belt. And then, yeah, as Aura was talking about, especially that there are, yeah, some other chapters have their own specific versions of chaplains or even chaplain characters that then there are models for. Good. There we go. And yes, some of the Crozius Arcanums out there are a little bit less cool than others. Let's put it that way. They all get the job done. And again, if you subscribe to the idea that it's just the power field that's doing the work and not the shape of the weapon itself, then it's like, all right, it can look like anything technically. But yeah, some of them are pretty goofy. I love it at this step. Unfortunately, there's that really awful commercial for the what is it? Some kind of auto insurance, but it's like a centaur for the motorcycle. Oh man, I gotta fix that Nightbot command. That is... It has a lot of good information in it, but it does not look very good. Oh, Nozar does. That's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in finding interesting 3D printable stuff to add to my vast collection of models. All right, I need 17 and 18 to build a leg. Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah, again, the way the parts are cut up. So this has sort of the shin and then part of the armor up here. Cool. Yeah, and of course the bike will look much better when those side cowlings are on. Okay. Where are we? So we put this leg together first. With the legs separate like this, I suppose you might be able to do, if you wanted to convert this and like give them a one of the cybernetic legs, you probably could. That'd be interesting. Oh, weird. In my mind, I thought this was the right leg, but it's the left leg. Interesting. My brain totally read that the opposite way. All right, so it's going to fit in here and then go on the pedal. Cool. All right, starting to look like a person. Ooh, there we are. We have a leg. Second. Oh, okay. Apparently, my Godzilla vs. Kong review won't be up until Friday, so you got a little special sneak peek. Although I think those toys are actually out right now, or coming out. They are Walmart exclusives, at least around here. Ooh, Fader is playing a Warpsmith. Cool. Man, that's something that needs a new model. Desperately. Alright, so this other leg works the same. You've got essentially the back half of the leg, and then some shin armor that goes over the front of it. Highly decorated. We've got a skull on the knee pad, and this is the Indomitus symbol. People were wondering what this new... Whoa, trying to get the light. So it kind of looks like a T or a cross or a knife, but it's got this skull and it's a specific thing. But it's on a lot of the new Marines that came out in the new set. Let's see, does this one have it? Yeah, so it's hanging down here. And it's for Marines that specifically served in the Indomitus crusade, but the Indomitus action that's going on in the lore. Most of them you could cut off if you really wanted to, if you didn't like the way it looked. That's all right. It's just another little decorative bit on figures that usually have a lot of decorative bits. Oh, new Vespids? That's cool. Yeah, there are a lot of models out there that could use some updates. I mean, not even updates. We're talking they just need brand new models from the ground up. And as a Space Marine player, I'm certainly very lucky in that I get so many new models all the time. But I feel for you. I feel for you Xenos players. I want there to be more Xenos releases. I don't need so many Space Marines all the time that I have to spend money on. Yeah, Chaos Space Marines could definitely use some cool new stuff. I do play Emperor's Children, so I'm looking forward to one day having new dedicated Noise Marines models. Although I have a massive collection of Noise Marines, so I don't need any more. But that's not to say I wouldn't enjoy new ones. And give me Daddy Fulgrim. Oh, that's what I really want. Oops. Wait, where does this leg go? Oh, right. That's not on the base. Not on the pedal, rather. Okay. Yeah. That makes more sense. Right, because he's leaning over. He's his own kickstand. Oh, no, I love that single Noise Marine. And I have several of that one as well, but I need like an army of them. And I do like differentiations between the Sonic Blasters and the Blastmasters. So give me a whole new kit. Honestly, Guard would be great if they just had just an extra sprue with female heads, helmeted and unhelmeted, and just some more options like that. Okay. Getting there. Assume this is part 19. There we go. It is interesting seeing people's reactions to the new codex and trying to figure out, what's good right now. I mean, of course, FAQs happen so often. Who knows what's going to be good, a month from now. Oh, what do we got? Want to be famous? Oh my goodness, I do want to be famous. Can I please be famous? Oh, nice. Ori, you're painting this today. That's cool. Yeah, there's oh, I forget their names. I just watched a new video from somebody recommended to me, and these two guys were doing. They looked through the new codex, and they went through like 6 or 7 units, and we're talking about what was the best loadout for them. What do they recommend? And it was interesting. Talking about what's good for the points. I am not a competitive player at all, but it was interesting hearing from people who are a little bit more competitive talk about that sort of thing. They like the original Gravis armor captain from the starter set for 8th edition. That's cool. I've got several of him around. Oh, Erdensk, thank you. I appreciate that. I try. All right, we're at the head part. Gotta get my helmeted head. The unhelmeted head isn't terrible, like some of them are, but I would still never use it. That goes over there. We'll go in my pile of heads. I do have a friend who takes my unhelmeted heads. I don't know what he does with all of them, but at least he takes them off my hands. Yeah, and of course there are a whole bunch of YouTubers who've done content about the new codex, like, you know, what's new, what's different. Interesting to hear that grav weapons are good again on Devastators. That has partly to do with just the rules being decent, and partly with the different costs for the weapons on the Devastators, and what other units do things better with those other weapons. All right, now we're looking like a chaplain. Hey, Mexican Robin, how you doing? Okay, we got 22 and 23. Should probably put that on first. Primaris are still a little bit tough with getting into battle with their relatively few number of transport options. We're going to get a new tank and a new speeder in the next few months, in theory. The Gladiator tank, what the heck is that new giant speeder thing called? I don't know, some kind of speeder. I was really hoping they've teased, well, in the lore, in the novels, Primaris have a flyer, a troop carrying flyer called the Overlord. And everybody's always like, when are we going to get a model of that? Well, not soon, apparently. Hammer Strike, that's the speeder, yes. Okay. Oh, interesting. So this just plugs right into the back of his head. It's cool. Spawn more overlords, yeah. I'm excited about it one day having an overlord, just because the way it's described makes it sound like, I don't think there's any artwork of it, just a description in the novels, but it sounds like, it looks like the Horus Heresy era Kestis assault ram vehicle, which I didn't get a model of before they discontinued it. Some people have them floating around on the internet, so maybe one day I'll pick up one that way, but I always thought it was interesting. Not the prettiest design. It's essentially a big blocky engine in the back, big engine compartment, and then the front are two, yeah, it's a flying brick. But it has two long forward segments that are split, kind of like the front of the Millennium Falcon, but they're straight. And the idea is that with this massive engine block in the back, this thing just flies super fast, crashes those two front prows into a larger vehicle or a fortification or a spaceship, and then the fronts pop open and Space Marines come pouring out into whatever was unlucky enough to be in front of it, which is pretty cool. And there's something about the design of that old model that I liked. But yeah, this new The way the Overlord is described in the book sort of sounds like that. The flying bread box, yeah. In a sea of especially Imperial aircraft designs that make very little sense, that one even so is like, oh, that's an odd design. But yeah, Space Marines love to fly things that crash into other things. All right, we've got our halo on. Now this will be... Okay. Just want to make sure I'm putting glue in all the right places and not too much in the wrong places. Good. Cool. Yeah, and if you want to see what it looks like to be inside of one of those boarding torpedoes, as Zardoz just mentioned, definitely watch the Astartes YouTube series, because that's how it starts. Yeah, essentially in the 40k universe, there are weapons called Melta weapons, Melta guns, multi-Meltas, now they're Melta rifles, and are those that... I always get confused between those and Volkite. Which one is technically microwave? That's Melta, right? Meltas are microwave energy. But they essentially melt whatever's in front of them. So they have these boarding torpedoes that have just a collection of heavy-duty Melta weapons at the front. So right as they're about to hit something, it just vaporizes a hole through it. So you can... And then they smash inside, and then the front hatches blow open, and Space Marines come pouring out and annihilate anything that moves. Yeah, it gets complicated in 30k because there were more esoteric technologies and other types of weapons. Although some of that stuff is starting to show up now in 40k again. We do have some Volkite. Is Volkite atomic energy? I don't know. Like I said, I can't keep those straight. And then there are conversion beamers. That's a whole other type of thing. There's a lot of ways to blow people up and melt them. But yeah, if anybody, I assume many of you have seen it, but if anyone is ever interested in, like, oh, what is this world of Warhammer 40k, and what are these Space Marines? Like, how do they work? What do they do? Just show them Astartes on YouTube, because it's fantastic. And yes, it is not entirely exactly correct, and it doesn't tell any official story because it's an unofficial animation that some guy did, but 100% captures the feel of the universe and of Space Marines in particular. Yeah, they show up and wreck things. That about covers it. For such a cool dude here, this Chaplain's backpack power pack is pretty plain. It does have a couple of little teeny tiny spikes on the top, so it's not just stock. But I mean, come on, you have all this stuff going on. There, I mean, he almost has wings of of all of his stuff everywhere, but nothing doing on that backpack. Slacking, man. Slacking. All right, part number 27. We're almost done. What is this thing? Okay, so this piece goes behind him. Hopefully. Okay, let's see. How does this work? So I'm going to hold it this way, like this. Oh, it goes all the way on the back, right? Nope. Down this way. Oh, okay. Yeah, it just sort of pops down behind him. Just to give him some reinforcements and make it look like he's actually sitting on something, not just literally plugged into the bike itself. And then we get a little, looks like a little decoration to put on the back, which is part number 28. I just saw it. Okay, we got a little skull to go on the bike, because again, not enough skulls. I guess you just literally, it's cute. You just stick the skull on the bike. Totally optional. Put it anywhere. Let's do it. Oh, I see. It could connect. Close enough. Oh, nope. Slipped out. Come on, little skull. Okay, good enough. Now we have a skull. Oh, yes. So many skulls. All right. Parts number 31. It's going to be this guy. So let's see. What else is happening? Tomorrow, I'll be back. We'll continue with Ovid's Metamorphoses on Thursday. Monday we got some doozies of stories on Monday. I gotta look and see what's coming up. And then Friday, look at some more non-GW models. Did I do that right? I think I did the wrong one. You wait. I will probably continue working on my Robotech models. At least until I have one of every model done. And I'm getting there. Definitely getting there. And then I'll see what else I have lying around. There's always models to be built. Of course, things to be painted. Ooh, start painting again. That'd be fun. Somebody was just making fun of me for not having seen me paint on stream. Although I have. My Blood Bowl orcs are partly painted. I quite enjoy building models. Definitely more than I do like painting. Again, I need the time, the focus. Let's see, where does this want to glue in? Yes, exactly. And that's the other thing Zar does. To be able to paint, I have to finalize a color scheme. Although that's definitely less true with my Emperor's Children, because you can kind of, as long as you got some pink and black in there, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the rest of them. I don't know exactly where this attaches, but I'll just throw some glue on there and it'll be great. Thankfully, he has some cool stuff that goes over the top of his twin bolt rifle assembly, so you don't have to be too worried about the seam there, which is nice. That was one of the worst parts about these Outriders, is that seam running across the top. Especially the first one I did, just did not want to connect very well. Although I think I figured out why that was. The way I built it was a little bit not how they recommended. Okay, we got some books, we got a base, and then we'll be done. Good timing, because as usual, I got some family stuff I need to go and get to. Oh, I think I was supposed to put this thing on first, because it tucks way in there. Forget it. I can add that later. Put it somewhere else. Yeah, and again, with the Emperor's Children, that's the other thing. Not only can you do whatever you want, but you can have different units that look very different even within the same army. So I'm not really too concerned about. It would be a strange Emperor's Children army if everything looked the same and all had the exact same aesthetic. Now, could you do that? Yeah, of course you could do that. But, it's very appropriate if your Noise Marines have a different color scheme and pattern than your line troops. And then certainly if you're running anything a little bit more demonic, you got freedom there. And because I'm slowly also crafting a 30k Emperor's Children army, I may or may not want to paint and decorate some units that could be playable in either. Looking at you, Contemptor. Especially in, well, I mean, I guess they've been doing it for a while, but there are a lot of units that you can play in the game that you, basically the Horus Heresy game, the 30k game, that you can also play in 40k as like these relics Or in the case of Chaos, they're hell forged, so they have demons inside them that sometimes do really crazy stuff, like eat people that are right inside or eat people that are in melee with them. But yeah, in some cases they're mostly unchanged across those 10,000 years. Sometimes they're very changed. But you can always justify so many things with the lore. Like, oh, this unit just got lost in the warp for 7,000, 10,000 years. Yeah, well, again, I mean, so much. There are, there are literally Space Marines, even loyalist ones, who have been around that long. Well, in a couple of instances. I mean, Bjorn Fellhanded of the Space Wolves, he is a dreadnought now, but he fought alongside. Which way does this go? Aha, that way. So yeah, he fought alongside Russ. He's very, very old. He's had better days, but he's doing all right. He's still kicking. And of course, on the Chaos Space Marine side, there are tons of characters who have been around for the last 10,000 years. But things work differently in the warp and where they live in the demon planets. Oh no. Why is that not fitting? Is that right? Okay. Cool. Even all the chains actually line up. The book is chained over the front. Dark Angels are interesting. It's hard to get away from all the memes about the Dark Angels. We can do a whole discussion about them one day. But yeah, there's my issue with it is that there's so much about the Dark Angels that is like, ooh, let's make this mysterious, and then just never resolve it. It's like, come on, we've had these mysteries now for 30 years in real time, let alone 15,000 years in the lore. Let's start resolving some things. Let's move the story forward. Okay. Interesting. So they want us to glue the bike to the base first. Yeah, you think we're going to get all new 30k rules with 9th edition? It'll be interesting. All right, let's get this glued on, and then I got to get out of here. I mean, didn't they just recently come out with a new rule book for Horus Heresy? I'm not fully up on all of that. Yeah, Zardoz, they've beaten those things to death forever. Yeah, Eridan's pretty much. Yeah, I mean, there are characters who get lost in the warp for thousands of years, and they come out not knowing that any time has gone by, and like, okay, all right, bros, what are we doing? It's like, ooh, let's catch you up on some things that you may have missed. final step. A little bit forward. What do we think? Good? That could be a little bit more. Okay, good. I like it. Yeah, yes, exactly. Not much changes in 40k. We go tens of thousands of years, and very often it's like, nope, we just got to keep the status quo. Yeah, new things come out every so often, but then it's like, it's still just a lot more of the same. All right, well, we've successfully built a chaplain on a bike. Looks good. Everything worked. I didn't get mad at it like I sometimes do with my models. So yeah, he'll definitely be riding alongside his Outrider brothers, helping them hit better with their chain swords. It's all good. And he'll join my army, my legion of other chaplain models. Cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody who hung out with me today while I built that and chatted. Really appreciate all the conversation. Thank you for the new follow there. And I'll be back tomorrow to read more Ovid's Metamorphoses. All right, but I do need to get going, so that'll be it for today. Thanks, everybody. See you back tomorrow. Goodbye.